One of Epstein's victims just exposed Ghislaine Maxwell's connection to Hollywood, and allegedly, Ellen was the one helping Ghislaine recruit more girls for Epstein. Victim statements, Epstein's emails, and even his personal journal all point towards Epstein being connected to the entertainment industry. Ellen shut down her show the same month as Epstein's investigation began, and today, we might finally understand why. I do not believe he died. And do you believe that, do you have any speculation or view of who him? I know I don't. Epstein might have been the leader, but Ghislaine Maxwell was the one bringing him victims. If it wasn't for Ghislaine, Epstein would never have been able to grow and act the way he did. Several of Epstein's closest allies confirmed that the only reason they even talked to Epstein was because of Ghislaine. Ghislaine was born into a posh British family and would use her elite upbringing to launch herself into the circles of some of America's most powerful people. It wasn't just the elites that Ghislaine was talking to. The victims say that they were first approached by Ghislaine and saw Ghislaine Maxwell in full flight. She would turn like that, and like as school's getting out, she's like, I've got to get the new Biles. I'm going to get the new Biles. What did she mean by that, and what did you witness? So several times, I was in the car with her, and she would ask the driver to stop the car, and she'd dash across to the school or the park or wherever she was going, and she would like write down her phone number for a child, a young girl, and then I'd see that child at the house, and she'd say, they're auditioning. You know, I found a model in the park. And I thought it was really strange because I did see a couple girls in braces, and I've never seen a model with braces. Of course, it was a ruse. Epstein claimed to help manage Victoria's Secret, and Maxwell was his eager model scout. He asked me to take my shirt off, so I took my shirt off. Instead, as Maria unwittingly witnessed, Maxwell was happily procuring girls to feed Epstein's insatiable appetite for with teen and young women. He start getting a little excited about it, and he start touching himself. On the 28th of June 2022, Ghislaine Maxwell was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison for related crimes linked to Jeffrey Epstein. The sentence covered her role in recruiting and facilitating the age individuals over about a decade. Victim statements, eyewitness reports, along with hundreds of thousands of emails over a 10-year period proof that Ghislaine was working for Epstein and would travel all over the world searching for victims. Ghislaine would approach victims and offer them money in exchange for a massage. Ghislaine Maxwell approached me at the spa area. She was like this really bright Mary Poppins kind of a figure, and she said, "Oh, surely it's got to be legit." Her posh upbringing, her accent, gave this veneer of respectability. Coming from a woman, I think that was incredibly manipulative, and I think it was absolutely critical in Epstein's operation. My dad brought me over and he shakes hand with Ghislaine, who promises that she'll take good care of me. You're going to see that this exact pattern was followed for dozens of other girls. The pattern is clear. Find someone vulnerable and immature. Offer them money in exchange for something simple. Once they're at the hotel, Ghislaine wasn't standing on the sidelines either. At times, she would even hold the victim down. Ghislaine got me quickly into like, here's the lotions. Worst thing that I could have done because I just let them know that I'm vulnerable and I'm their perfect type. Ghislaine grabbed one foot, I grabbed the other, and she says, you always want to keep one hand on the body when you're massaging somebody, and then he turns over and the entire thing changed. They said, take off your clothes. I had these little girl undies on, like little hearts on them, I remember, and they were laughing at that because they like that the younger you look, the better it is. It turned very sexual, and it was straight away from both of them. I got paid $200, and the butler drove me home. They acted very normal about the situation. They tried to validate what had happened. From the outside perspective, you understand the grooming involved in what transpired in that room. These victims were later threatened, stalked, and forced to remain silent. Virginia Jew and Maria Farmer both recalled being told by Elaine that if they went to the authorities, they would be killed. Shockingly, Maria Farmer actually tested this. She went to the FBI in 1996 and told them everything. The response, nothing. The FBI not only did nada, someone even informed Ghislaine that Maria had snitched. As a result, Maria was stalked and harassed until she finally decided to run away. And she was the very first victim to officially report Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell to the authorities. But in a pattern that would be set in the decades ahead, her complaint was ignored. They just kept it all quiet, put in the bottom drawer, and they were so dismissive that I just felt daunted and I stopped. But by going to police, Maria felt the full force of Maxwell's fury. Terrified, Maria went into hiding and gave up her art career. What sort of threats has she made against you? Originally, it started with things like, I'm going to burn your art, and then I'm going to burn your career, and then I'm going to burn you and the house you live in. And then it was, oh, be careful crossing a street. You can get shot in the back of the head. They were threats against my life. And I told the FBI this. After abusing these little girls, they would then stalk them for the rest of their life and continue to verbally assault over the phone and just in person and anywhere that they could find them. They would follow these girls around for the rest of their life. Epstein's people continued to find her and would have tabs on her, calling her numbers to threaten her and continue to harass her for the rest of her life. She said that since the threats began, there have been 4 to 5 close calls where she was almost run off the road. Multiple cars, not just one, multiple. Perhaps the worst part of the situation is what Epstein and his circle would actually do to you if they thought you were becoming a threat. Virginia Giuffre was one of the first women to sue Epstein and actually submit physical evidence, including photos connecting Epstein to elites like Prince Andrew from the British royal family. Virginia is the sole reason that Prince Andrew ever got arrested. In 2019, a few weeks before the official release of the Epstein files, Virginia revealed on social media that she was receiving threats from unknown sources that warned her of what would happen if she kept speaking out. Soon after, Virginia announced that she was writing a book about everyone she saw during her time on Epstein's island and on his private plane, the Lolita Express. Before she could release the book, however, she was hit by a truck. Although she survived this, she allegedly committed suicide days later. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Shortly before her death, Virginia had actually tweeted about being silenced. The tweet reads, "I am making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I have made this known to my therapist and GP. If something happens to me for the sake of my family, do not let this go away and help me to protect them. Too many evil people want to see me quieted. Welcome back and live now. I'm Austin Westall. Breaking news coming in. Some sad news to share. We're learning this from the New York Post. Several other outlets reporting this as well. Virginia Giuffre, the most prominent victim of the late convicted profile Jeffrey Epstein, took her own life on Thursday. This is just weeks after she made headlines for saying that she had days to live after she claimed to have been hit by a bus. A statement given to NBC News was quoted as such from the 41-year-old's family. It says, "It's with utterly broken hearts that we announced that Virginia passed away last night at her farm in Western Australia. She lost her life to suicide after being a lifelong victim of sexual abuse and sex trafficking." The New York Post says that Giuffre took legal action against billionaire financier Epstein in 2015, alleging that she was sex at age 16 after his ex-lover and convicted Madam Ghislaine Maxwell recruited her from her job as a locker room attendant at President Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. The mom of 3, according to the Post, also alleged that she was forced to have sex with disgraced Prince Andrew 3 times when she was 17, including at Epstein's Little St. James Island in New Mexico, and Little St. James Island in New Mexico, and in Maxwell's London home, where a notorious photo of her with King Charles' eldest brother was taken. The Post says the allegations became the biggest scandal to rock the royal family in a generation. Again, hearing of the sad news just within the past hour. Virginia Giuffre, the most prominent victim of late convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein taking her own life on Thursday. It was announced on Friday, her death. She was 41 years old, her family confirming this. Then she comes out publicly says, "It was intended to be a private message. My excuse. No. Just on that, I have 5 days to live." And then a month later, or 3 weeks later, she's by suicide. Nothing about this story makes any sense whatsoever, any more than I expected to believe that Epstein killed himself. She also previously had tweeted, if ever I'm not suicidal. Although I think whenever someone takes to social media to say that unironically, there's something going on. She posted a little while back, we were on the cusp of the due of Epstein documents being released, seeing clients on that list. Virginia Giuffre's is the most credible of the living witnesses, the last public of the witnesses. And instead of the release of the documents, we have the death of the most prominent living testament to the horrors of the Epstein Galan, Prince Andrew, allegedly human trafficking ring. So none of it makes any sense. I don't believe that she took her own life. People are going to say whether or not she's even dead. If she wants to disappear from the face of the earth, this is how you do it, because maybe she just wants to not deal with this anymore. But I won't believe ever that she deliberately took her life. Vinny, this is where the story takes an even wilder turn. In 2022, just months after Ghislaine Maxwell was sentenced to federal prison as a result of her crimes, Ellen suddenly announced that she was shutting down her wildly successful show and quitting show business forever. Now, there are reports online that the real reason Ellen ran away is because of her connection to Epstein and the fact that she allegedly betrayed him and ratted out to the police. Months after Ellen's show ended, her executive producer and her ex-girlfriend both ended up dying under extremely suspicious circumstances. We're learning more tonight about the tragicide of Stephen Twitch Boss and the detailed steps he took to hide his plans. TMZ is reporting when Twitch left his home the day before, he took an Uber to a motel about a mile away. At the motel, he switched his phone to airplane mode so no one could reach him. The motel manager says he checked in rather under his own name, and never left his room. We also now know that Twitch left his note. Details have not been made public, but TMZ reports the note alluded to challenges Twitch had faced in the past. Entertainer Tyler Perry knows firsthand what that is like. I want to take you back to a time in my life where I tried to commit suicide a couple of times. Because it was so dark. I thought the only way to make this better and this pain go away is to end my life. Had any of those attempts happened, I would have missed the best part of my life. Supporters of these theories claimed that Ghislaine threatened Ellen, and knowing the extent of her power, Ellen decided her best bet was to move to the UK and hide. Now check this out. Emails from the Epstein files along with court documents from the prosecutors in Maxwell's case show that Maxwell allegedly cut deals with 25 different celebrities to keep them quiet. Critics of Ellen claim she was one of them. And the fact that she shut down her show and vanished from the spotlight just as Maxwell's deposition began, that's a pretty big red flag for them. To a newly filed court document, Ghislaine Maxwell, the former associate of Jeffrey Epstein. She was convicted of trafficking minors, sentenced to 20 years in prison. She claims that 25 men, maybe friends, associates of the deceased financier, have been protected under secret settlements, secret deals, and that this information was not revealed to her during her trial. This is on top of what she claims are 4 other individuals, alleged co-conspirators who were never charged. Obviously, I have thoughts. Is she telling the truth, particularly given her past, in light of what she's trying to do now? If this is true, number 1, wow. And who are these people? What is a secret settlement? Can we ever find out? Can the public ever find out? Her stories have changed so many times about what happens, when it happens, and how it happens with different versions. And each time she speaks, there's a different version. And that is from the documentary that's just aired in the United States that's come just off the satellite. For more, we're joined by U.S. broadcaster Cooper Lawrence to dissect it. What did you make of Ghislaine Maxwell? It reminded me of nobody taught me how to curtsy and I didn't inhale. There was a lot of this evidence that came out during the trial that suddenly she's like, no, it's fake. During the trial, they showed her that photo, and she said, yeah, that's me. That's my apartment. I recognize it. And, it was one of the things that indicted her. Now, suddenly, it's a fake photograph. Some users have also drawn parallels between Epstein's and Ellen's behavior. For example, Alex Jones explains that Epstein's Zorro Ranch was actually an operation to harvest black women's stem cells. He says they would get young black women pregnant via artificial insemination and harvest their children legally at 8 months because they were more valuable on the market. He even showed footage of Peter Nygaard, one of Epstein's billionaire friends, admitting that the perfect eggs were from black women between 16 and 18 years old. He believed that they should harvest everything they could, including period blood, placenta, and even abortions. Billionaire freakazoid, and part of his deal, he's in prison in jail up in Canada, waiting, charges all over the globe. But his deal was that he would allegedly impregnate young women in the Bahamas, where he had a huge home, and then have them get abortions and harvest their stem cells of the fetuses to inject in himself as the fountain of youth. And we get into this in that documentary. And was Epstein involved in that sort of activity? I don't know. That's where, and again, we just have to look at what we have and know what we don't yet. Yeah, but it's a question. Yeah. And when you look at what other billionaire guys have done, were they in contact somehow? Obviously, there are some people who are in the concentric circles of associates. Now, guess what products Ellen was promoting on her show? In one episode with Sandra Bullock, Ellen and Sandra Bullock openly discussed her use of adrenochromes extracted from children and laughed about how it kept them young. Okay. Let's talk about this facial that you're obsessed with. How many did you get the whole cast of Ocean's A to do this? Not everybody. Okay, good. Smart. Just those that I thought would appreciate it. Okay, explain what it is. Well, it's this way in which one forces through microneedling. It's like a little roller with these. I think many of you know it. And it pushes through the skin and ruptures a collagen and then boosts it. You look like a burn victim for a day, but then it pushes the skin. What are you pushing into the skin? Sarah S. Carey. What are you pushing into the skin? Well, you push in whatever the facialist would like to insert into your pores. But what is it? It is an extraction from a piece of skin that came from a young person far, far away. And they somehow figured out how to extract its for skin from a Korean baby. Then there's the fact that leading up to her being shut down, Ellen was slowly becoming more and more weird, especially when it came to how she acted around younger celebrities. For example, back when Justin Bieber's private images were leaked by the paparazzi, Ellen laughed at him and actually showed a censored version of these images on her show. Keep in mind that at the time, Justin was just 20 while Ellen was almost 55. And how quickly after that was shot did you realize that happened? Did that go on Wire right away? Yeah, it was pretty much like a couple days. It was like a couple days later, Scooter hit me, was like, yo, I hate to tell you this, but your penis is on the internet. I was like, what? And so then the first thing I saw was like the censored one, and it had like the black thing over it. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't know what this is going to look like. And then it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Wasn't terrible. I'm no expert, but I heard that it was good. I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, what amazed me though is that got so much attention, and I was in the bungalow next to you. And when I saw it, I was shocked, and I don't know how people didn't see. I was right there. Oh my God. Yeah, that's funny. My hat. So there's a young woman in the background. You can see in the bed. No. Is that your girlfriend? No, it's not. Just a girl that you were in Bora Bora with? Yeah. You just brought a friend to Bora Bora? Yeah. And you're just naked with your friend. Why are you putting me on the spot like this? Gosh. Do you believe Ellen's sudden exit from Hollywood was just a coincidence? Or do you think there's a deeper Epstein connection people are trying to hide? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this story is getting darker by the day. And before you go, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update.